Welcome back. We're talking with U.S. Representative District 23, Will Hurd. We're talking border security and everything else. I wanted to move to another big topic, health care reform. Sure. The Republicans have been saying for 7 years, give us the House, we'll repeal Obamacare. Give us the Senate, we'll repeal. Give us the presidency, we'll repeal. Republicans have all three. They had 7 years to come up with a plan. Why was nothing done?
Well, a lot has been done, but there hasn't been consensus on what to do. And for me, it's real simple. Whatever we do, we need to make sure we increase access to and decrease cost of healthcare. We should be focused on the outcomes, not the method to get there. I think the way we do that, increase competition and make sure you have price transparency. If you go into a healthcare provider and they can't tell you how much something costs, that's a problem. That's why we've seen healthcare costs rising. And we have to remember that health insurance and healthcare are two different things, right? And so competition matters, transparency matters. And when we talk about Obamacare or the ACA, this is the individual market. About 10 or 11% of Americans are on the individual market. 60% of Americans get their insurance through their company, and the rest is Medicare, Medicaid, TRICARE.
But and the ACA has driven up, and I know firsthand because what I pay and my out-of-pocket expensive and just not doctor's visits, but what I have to meet, my co-pays have skyrocketed. Even my prescription costs have skyrocketed. Should we not start with the healthcare reform, looking possibly at the insurance companies and start the reform there?
Look, all the above. You're absolutely right, and that's what a number of members of Congress are interested in. And actually, there is a bipartisan move. 20 Republicans, 20 Democrats in the House have come up with a plan on how to stabilize the market. That's bipartisan. Senate had hearings on this a couple of weeks ago. The only way we're going to solve this major problem is by actually working together and working across party line, and there's 40 people that are working on that.
There's never, well, never's a long time. There's not going to be a complete repeal of the ACA. There's got to be some way to massage this thing, repeal certain parts of it. You shouldn't have to force somebody to buy insurance, first of all, but there has to be some way to reform this thing to make it work.
Absolutely. Competition, price transparency. I think that's the way we do it. And there is bipartisan support for doing that, and there's an initiative underfoot now in order to try to get there.
I don't want to move on to North Korea, so we only have a couple of minutes left. The president's taken a lot of heat, mainly from Democrats, but some Republicans too, about his fire and fury comment. Did he go too far?
Well, did it go too far? We got to look at what the outcomes are happening. One of the things that I've learned from 9.5 years as being an undercover officer in the CIA, be nice with nice guys and tough with tough guys. If you look at what the president's saying and what Secretary Tillerson is saying, it's almost like a good cop, bad cop. We have to look at one of the major diplomatic successes we've had against North Korea happened in the last 10 days with getting China and Russia to agree at the UN Security Council for additional sanctions on North Korea. 9 months ago, nobody thought that was possible. That's an important move. The fact that we have the Chinese premier saying that they would not support North Korea if they did a preemptive strike, another important move in the diplomatic efforts to stop this problem. Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea, will not stop until he gets an intercontinental ballistic missile he can put a nuclear weapon on top of.
If he launches those 4 missiles over Guam, we're well within our rights to shoot him down.
100%, and we are.
Can we do that?
We can, and also if I believe if the North Koreans look to test another missile, we should shoot that down as well too. The goal is to end this diplomatically. The goal is to make sure Kim Jong-un does not have a nuclear program. And we have to make sure that the Chinese recognize that North Korea is a bigger problem to them than a U.S., South Korea, Japan alliance. But we have to be prepared to shoot it down. We have to be prepared to be tough with China and put additional sanctions on North Korea, because 90% of North Korea's economy.
But sanctions haven't worked.
Well, I would say, what's interesting, sanctions on Iran were working, and that's why we brought Iran to the table. And then they had to step away.
They're giving me a hard rap. I'm sorry, because I know we're going to run out of time. Will, good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
I'm sorry.
Always a pleasure.
No problem. To see you. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.